Alright, I'm going to go ahead and do a spoiler talk review, mostly spoiler talk on Avengers Infinity War. I have a review up on my website. It's non-spoiler review, which is also a very vague review because there's so many spoilers you can't get into. But I'll post a link for that down below, and you can check that out if you want. But this is going to be pure spoilers. This is a warning if you haven't seen the movie or if you just don't care about spoilers, whatever. Here we go. Opening sequence was pretty solid. Definitely kind of undoes the feel-good moment of Thor and all the Asgardians getting away and surviving Hela. And now, it looks like they're all dead, but I don't know. Thor does say it was only half of them, so we'll see how that works out. But decent start. Get a nice, but unfortunately pretty short Hulk versus Thanos fight. It's definitely a big geek out moment with those two fighting. It's something you would definitely see in a comic book. They got me pretty pumped up for as long as it lasted. But movie rolls around after that. It's the typical Marvel humor's there. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. At least starting off. The battle in New York with Spidey and Strange and Iron Man, Wong. Pretty cool battle. Dug it. Nice seeing the team-ups we haven't seen yet. Everyone kind of using their abilities to make the scene a little bit better. All the stuff Spidey can do, stuff that Strange can do. It was pretty cool. And you jump back, and that sequence is pretty kind of getting life and death. Shit's about to hit the fan, and then you jump to the Guardians of the Galaxy sequence, which is pure Guardians of the Galaxy. Just that kind of humor, the jokes, and I've said it before. It's pretty jarring going from the one style to the other, from this pretty serious to the goofy, silly. You're basically almost getting a Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.5, and once you introduce Thor, you're basically getting the Thor Ragnarok version of Thor, who's kind of the big lughead. The chemistry between those characters is great. If they do Guardians Volume 3 and Thor joins their team, I think that'd be a phenomenal addition, especially if they're not going to do another Thor movie, but we'll see what they end up doing. But they all played well off of each other. It was funny. And then you switch back to the more serious stuff again. Pretty decent intro for Vision and Scarlet Witch. Decent battle between them and the Black Order. Cap and everyone shows up. And again, it's just fun watching all these characters do their thing and cutting loose. So that was a nice little action sequence. Reintroduced to everybody. Just a little shocked to see General Ross, Secretary Ross, show up again when they get back to Avengers headquarters. As expected from seeing every friggin' trailer there is, everything from that group rolls over to Wakanda, and it's actually a surprisingly mediocre battle. There's great visuals, there's really cool shit going down, but it just kind of felt like they were stalling. And especially seeing the trailers, eventually Thanos is going to show up, so you're just like, okay, everyone's just fighting until Thanos shows up. But again, there's great moments, everyone's doing cool shit. Scarlet Witch just comes in and tears shit up, so that was pretty cool. And then meanwhile, you got Thor's quest, which really doesn't seem that essential. Especially what you know about the Infinity Gauntlet, it just doesn't seem any hammer that he's going to make is going to be enough to take out Thanos. So it just seems like a pointless quest, despite, the fun they're having with it. Rocket, always fun, great interaction. Team Groot, kind of wasted. He just always in the background playing video games. There's really nothing. He really doesn't add much to the movie at all, except he's just got to be there because it's Guardians. Goofy reveal with Peter Dinklage as the dwarf blacksmith. I'm sure every time it's been 2 times they put him in a movie, but you hear Dinklage is in a superhero movie, everyone starts immediately rattling off every, dwarven character they could think of. I know people were convinced that when he was an X-Men, he was going to be Puck from Alpha Flight. I think here in Avengers, everyone thought for sure he was going to be Pip the Troll, and then they always kind of turned that on the head. And here in Avengers, he's this ginormous dwarf with a deep voice that was computer augmented or audio was augmented. I don't know if you want to say computer augmented. And he was okay. Nothing special. Didn't really add anything that spectacular. And I think someone else pointed out, there's actually more distracting that is Dinklage as opposed to someone else playing that character. But that was that. Thor gets his hammer. It does let him roll into an awesome save when he does show up at the Battle of Wakanda and pretty much just annihilates half the invading army. So that was cool. And then the other big quests, Guardians go to nowhere, which was really cool how Thanos used the Reality Stone to disguise what was really going on. I also like anytime you use the Infinity Stones, they use effects that were associated with them, previously, like the red kind of ether-looking effect going around as he's using Reality Stone. Like that was cool. Or the portals from the Space Stone look like the Tesseract portals. Just keeping it consistent. It's not that anything they did anything groundbreaking new, but just kept it consistent with the other films. But the Guardians going there was just to show us that he had the Reality Stone and for him to basically kidnap Gamora. But that was okay. And then Guardians meet up with Strange and everybody, and you get their classic superhero on superhero fight because you don't know who's who, which is always something they did in the comic books. Every time somebody meets for the first time, so you get that over with and roll into their battle with Thanos, which again, great use of powers, great use of everybody using what makes them special in this fight. That's take on Thanos. And I know everyone's giving Star-Lord a hard time for basically ruining it by flipping out on him and letting him get his gauntlet back. But at the other end, you just basically, unfortunately, because of the trailer, he's going to go to Earth and at least fight Captain America. So again, it almost feels like they're stalling for time because he's not going to get defeated there unless they pull a major swerve, which there are some minor swerves from what was in the trailers and what's in the movie. So you got to re-battle. Thanos just smacks everybody around. Cool use of him using his time stone to go back in time and basically kill Vision the second time by stealing his Mind Stone. Thanos catches the axe to the chest. Again, for like a split second, you think maybe he got defeated, but then you figure he's not going to. You think he's going to do something else cool to get out of it. He already did the back in time things, that'd be redundant, but maybe some other way. Reality Stone just heals himself, but no, he just kind of stood there, snapped his fingers, got a kind of a trippy sequence, and then he left. And then it ends with kind of a slightly weird thing with him sitting there chilling, which again is reminding me of the comic panel from the end of the original Infinity Gauntlet comic book series where he was just chilling, mission accomplished basically. But there he's done being a conqueror. He's like, Gauntlet shit was not worth my time. Here it's like he's finished and he's just relaxing. Then of course he had all the characters disappearing, which unfortunately, granted, even in the comics, he's wiped out a lot of characters and they all came back. But the minute you see Black Panther die or vanish, whatever you want to call it, it's bullshit because they've already announced Black Panther. They're already talking about Black Panther 3. I suppose you could go the route because a lot of people really weren't that enamored with Panther after the movie. Everyone's all about Shuri, they were about M'Baku, they were about some of the other characters. So you could conceivably try to do it with Shuri becoming the Panther like she did in the books, but it doesn't seem like that's going to work. And then you kill Spider-Man, and that kind of nails it. Granted, it was a really well done, really emotional sequence, but it's again, they've already announced Spider-Man Homecoming 2 is coming out next year. And again, they could throw in Miles Morales or a different Spider-Man, but it doesn't seem likely they're going to do that. So basically, all these characters die, and it doesn't have much impact because they're going to have to come back some way or another. But still, dramatic ending, good cliffhanger. And again, when a movie like this, the whole time in the back of your head, you're thinking, this is a cliffhanger, and you just know there's going to be a point it's going to stop, and the story's going to continue. So it's always kind of bugs you that you're not going to get the satisfaction of seeing this thing all the way through at this point. Backtracks, all the other cool shit. They did a really good job with Doctor Strange. He really is one of the stars of the movie. He had a pretty good storyline. Of course, very important sequence. He looks at all the different timelines to see how they beat Thanos. He finds one way they do it, and then he gives away the Time Stone to save Tony's life, which means either A, Tony's important to them defeating Thanos, B, Thanos completing the gauntlet, leads to his downfall, or C, or a combination of both. Well, so Thor had a big storyline, but I said it was kind of pointless. Thor got a hammer, if that counts for that much. But that was something. Cap really didn't have that big of a storyline. He was just kind of being Cap, being the leader. Tony had a decent storyline. I mean, really, the movie was about Thanos. I mean, it's his story. Great job with him. The visual effects look phenomenal. The CGI characters look real. I mean, if I didn't know ahead of time that the entire Black Order was all CGI, I would think at least a couple of them were just makeup. Thanos, just great details. You see, like, just the vein in the side of his head when he's talking, just the skin complexion, everything about him looked, pretty legit. I think the early fight with the Hulk and Thanos actually looked a little wonky, and there's a couple scenes actually early on, and they when they were fighting in New York was a little off. But overall, fantastic visual effects. Just like the humor is hilarious. Thor, I believe, calling Rocket a rabbit over and over again. The sequence of Drax pretending that he's invisible by moving really slow was just really funny. Of course, to me, the biggest fanboy jaw-dropping moment was the return of the Red Skull. I mean, at first, you think it's possibly Lady Death, or Mistress Death, what do you want to call her, who was Thanos' crush in the Infinity Gauntlet series. Is like, I thought it was cool they found a way to slip her in there, and then it turned out it was a guy, and then it turned out it was Red Skull, which was awesome, and definitely Joe was just hanging out for a minute and smiling, and like, that's such a major loose end from all the way back from the first Captain America movie to see Red Skull finally come back. A little bit disappointed that Hugo Weaving didn't come back and do the character this time. I cannot remember the name of the actor. He plays Aaron on the Walking Dead series. He took over. Good job. I mean, it's such a small role. It's not that important to have the same actor, but it just would have been kind of cool to know that the same guy was back. A little disappointing what they did with the Soul Stone. Like, that's where it was. I mean, there's so many awesome theories that were floating around where the Soul Stone could have been, and then it's just on this random planet that you have to pass it, a test basically to get it. So that was a little, There really wasn't too many major surprises. I think a lot of people thought Loki might get killed. I think a lot of people speculated that a lot of major characters would die. I mean, actually, I think people thought it would be, the big guns, like either Thor or Cap or Iron Man, not so much the Buckies or the Spider-Mans or whatever. But, whatever. We'll have to see how it all plays out in the next movie, which is also another interesting point, is just no clue where they're going from this point on. I mean, time travel, do they get the gauntlet? It's completely speculation at this point. And another weird thing is, they supposedly said that the title to the next Avengers movie would be a spoiler, and they don't want to reveal it yet. But I can't think of any title they would come up with that make you say, you would guess what happened in the Avengers Infinity War. Like, I mean, unless they're calling it like Avengers, here's a list of the characters that died in the last one, and you went from there. I mean, I just don't know. And I don't really got that much else, just kind of want to talk about the movie a bit. I think also because my review, I think, comes off a little bit negative, almost like I didn't like the movie, and then I turned around and gave it the 4 stars. Enjoyed the film, just could have been better. A little disappointed that you only get glimpses of how powerful Thanos should be with that gauntlet. When he turns Drax to like little blocks, and he turns Mantis to strings, or just the way he was able to reverse time and kill Vision to take the stone, that's just that's what he should be able to do with that gauntlet. For the most part, he's just kind of punching people and knocking them down with energy. I mean, he could do so much with that gauntlet and be unstoppable. But they really kind of toned it down a bit, for better or for worse. And maybe in the next film, actually, matter of fact, the gauntlet looked pretty jacked at the end of this one. It was just all melted and barely functional. I mean, it worked enough that he could teleport himself out of there, but it's almost like he can't really do that much with it with the next film. So I don't know. We'll see. That's about all I got. Again, I'll have a link down at the bottom to go back to my webpage if you want to check out the non-spoiler review, which would be kind of stupid to do that now because you just heard the spoiler review, but I think the thoughts are a little bit more coherent on there, so that might be a better reason to go check that out. Or just go to my website in general. There's funny comic strips on there. There's some comic strips that are supposed to be funny and they're not, but you can look at those too. And I think that's about all I got.